Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story, entitled Individual Complains About Rule Bending for Patient Care, refusing to pay $14 and opting for a costly $400 plus 6-month supply. The second story, cunning salesman who employed malicious compliance and toppled an inept manager to eventually emerge victorious in the world of retail. The third story, restaurant manager handles a customer's complaint about raw salmon and brings in the chef, leading to a swift change in the customer's behavior and a peaceful resolution. The first story is, these aren't for individual sale. A few years ago, I worked at an optometry clinic, selling glasses, contacts, etc. As a courtesy to our patients, if someone urgently needed a pair of contacts or wanted an extra pair for vacation, etc., we would charge them a dispense fee per pair of $20 or so. I can't remember exactly. It wasn't something that lawfully we're supposed to do, but it was a gray enough area that we continued doing it, and our patients appreciated it since a lot of them only wore contacts some of the time and didn't want to spend money on boxes. And sometimes if someone ordered boxes and they were leaving on vacation or something, we'd just give them the trial pair for free. Enter entitled Brat, a woman who was slow to pay her bills, never ordered boxes of contacts, and only ever got single pairs of contacts. She had a specialty prescription, so her trial contacts actually cost us money, unlike most trials which are sent for free. This is why you aren't really supposed to collect money for them, but we didn't. We charged a dispensing fee, wink wink, and so skirted the rules a bit. One day entitled Brat enters our clinic. She lost and ripped one of her contacts. No problem, we'll get another one ordered. Now, since her contacts were special made and cost us some money, her dispensing fee was a little higher, maybe $30. Her boxes would have cost about $400 for a 6-month supply because they're specialty lenses. High astigmatism correction. For comparison, a 6-month supply for myself typically costs about $120, and our prices were very competitive, less than 1-800 contacts. And we didn't charge shipping if people picked up in store. Anyway, we order her replacement lenses, call her when it's in, and she comes to pick it up. My manager tells her it'll be $14 for the one lens, and she flips out, saying it should be free, it's not her fault the lens ripped, etc., etc. My manager listens patiently, and then explains that we always charge a dispensing fee, that her contact lenses cost us money, and we're charging in order to cover that cost, as well as man-hours spent putting together her order. That's when she sees the fine print on the contact lens container, not for individual sale. Triumphantly, she points that out, demands she should have the lens free. My manager takes the lens off the counter, makes a show of reading the print and says, "You're right, I'm sorry, I can't sell you this. We'll have to send it back to the lab and get our money back. I'm afraid that you'll just have to order boxes from now on." Entitled Brat gapes at my manager, then asks, "Okay, how much for a 6-month supply?" My manager consults the price sheet, calculates tax, and says, "For 2 6-packs, that'll be roughly $405. But I only wear these part-time. Can't I just get one pair?" "I'm sorry, ma'am, but like you said, they're not for individual sale. I'm afraid we cannot do that any longer. It would be unethical. So you can order boxes here or elsewhere. Those are the options." Defeated by her own words, entitled Brat took a copy of her prescription to order contacts online. For the remainder of my time working there, I don't remember her ever coming back. The next story is, do everything to keep a salesman from selling? Okay, let's see how that works out for you, boss. In college, I worked for a computer parts store in their build-your-own section. Let's call this place Macro Point. I was a good seller and made a ton of money, something like $2,400 a check. I was very happy and feeling myself. I even bought a shirt that said DJ Breadwinner and would wear it under my nice clothes all the time. The job was easy if you followed 2 simple rules. 1, never sell them something they don't need. And 2, the customer only has the options you give them. The latter seems a bit disingenuous, but if you follow 1, you'll never go wrong with 2. My 2 biggest abilities were that A, I helped everyone and was very polite and energetic, so I got a lot of repeat customers who would wait and deal only with me. And B, I could sell warranties like nobody's business. The warranties were easy to sell, since we had an accidental damage plan on most items, and one that replaced components in a build if you paid us to build it. I would simply say something like, "You want to buy the accidental damage plan? It may be expensive, but it lasts 3 years. Put that date in your phone, on your calendar, a week before it's up. Throw this son of a bee at a wall and then come to get the latest model for free." The plan says they might ask a few questions, but the truth is they didn't. With accidental damage, bring in a broke item, get the same, or if that's not available, usually not, get the latest price equivalent model. Most people took that bet and I was successful. Things were great until we got a new manager for our department. We'll call him Incompetito. He was, as his name implies, incompetent. He had come over from Circuit Metropolis and had been a store manager or something. Their business had just folded. He brought all kinds of new and stupid ideas to the department. The worst was switching how we did cleaning and stocking. Before, we cleaned at night, and stocked periodically in the early morning when it was slow when the truck came. Incompetito wanted us to clean in the morning, so we were on the floor for the early morning customers, and stock at night, because anything that wasn't fully stocked in our department through the day went up when we merchandised at night and cleaned up. I think he was trying to stop us getting overtime or something, which was stupid, because we made like $5 an hour plus commission. Our hourly wage was jack SH. The biggest problem here is that things off the truck are in the system, so when a customer wants something, the system says we have it, and it's not on the shelf. We have to waste time not being on the floor, going to look for things in the pallets, and that hurts our sales. This is a completely stupid idea that failed spectacularly, and I earned the ire of Incompetito by going to the store manager after our objections were ignored and explaining it. I may have earned his undying ire when he told the store manager that that was the way they did it back at Circuit Metropolis, and I remarked that that was probably why they went out of business. In my defense, F Incompetito. He was costing me like $500 a check. Eventually, this got fixed, but a new issue started and this one was really annoying. Now, we were not allowed to sell in other departments unless they were connected to or up sales on our builds. TV, Apple games, and general section in the middle of the store. I and others had mastered upselling whole A TVs instead of monitors and gaming peripherals and all that. We got a higher percentage of peripherals than core sales, so making a TV a peripheral was big money. Incompetito, who was trying to buddy up to the hot chick who ran the department, had forbid us to upsell TVs or hand that off as a separate thing for the TV people. This did not go over well in our department. As the lead salesman in my department, I was particularly peeved, but he threatened write-ups for anyone who disobeyed, and the store manager was tired of us going around Incompetito, so he just started saying, it's his department. He eventually forbade us from upselling anywhere else in the store. I'm like, cool, bet. Cue the malicious compliance. You see, even if it's from other departments, if the sale starts in our department, the numbers are attributed to our department. This here affects Incompetito's bonus, but also the only reason more TVs were being sold in the first place was that we were convincing gamers to get big TVs and use them as monitors instead of monitors. So when we stopped doing that, units stopped going out with the same frequency and the numbers for our department dropped sharply. It was actually rough to get all these salespeople to just stick to our department and not go around Incompetito. But it only took about 2 months for anyone to start noticing the problem. They'd called a meeting of the departments and talked about TV and BYO underperforming. When they asked why, I feigned ignorance and just said we were following what Incompetito said. We let the store manager slowly piece together why things were happening. Incompetito got chewed out and TV lady, let's call her Legs for Days, was also chewed out. We didn't know why at first, but apparently she'd done this to the manager before the manager that hired me. The one before Incompetito was a woman, but her predecessor was a man. Apparently, Legs for Days had a way of flirting and getting special treatment for her department and taking advantage of idiots like Incompetito. I'd like to say that was the end and Incompetito eased up and got out of the way. But no, he was petty and a D. He conspired with Snake, someone of his own culture, to get rid of me. I found this out because Snake was popular with the girls but also talked too much. He would allow Snake to upsell in our area and had one of the girls often remove my sticker and put Snake's on it. He started scheduling me at weird times and started selling the store manager on the idea that I was detrimental to the morale of the department. A lot of them were lazy and relied on the pool. When you don't help someone and they buy something, the money goes into the pool and is distributed among the entire department. If it doesn't look like a big build, some folks would just let that go to the pool. I did not. I helped everyone and turned small items into big purchases. Admittedly, that hurt everyone else's pockets, but we were told to help everyone and to absolutely not be lazy and let things go to the pool. So the weird way it ended up being explained to me is that if I sold 10 of an item, I got paid, let's say, $100 because of a multiplier or whatever. But if I sold 5 and someone else sold 5, no one would get the multiplier, and thus they would each pay $40 or something, instead of paying $100 for the same amount of merch being sold. It was all convoluted and sounded like a BS excuse, but Incompetito ended up convincing them that they couldn't afford me right then. Normally they fire people on the spot because we've got a high risk of theft, but they let me work those last 2 weeks. I asked what he expected me to do, and he told me, I expect you to sell. So sell I did. Cue malicious compliance too. I was going to show them what they were losing. I wanted them to feel my absence. I was determined to try to break the sales record my last few days and totally came close. I was averaging something like $7,800 in sales, way up from my $3,000 a day, which still had me around the best of the best. See, the record was somewhere around $14,000 in a day, and I had hit $11,000 and $13,000, but sadly could not hit the record. But my numbers were insane during that time. My last check was stupid high, but alas, Incompacito did manage to get me out of there, though store manager said he'd hire me back if things changed. Instead, Incompacito waited a month and moved Snake into my place in the department. Needless to say, their numbers were not the same. I didn't get my closure on this until about 4 months later when I found Incompacito and store manager had been fired. They opened a Bengal Direct across the way, and Macro Point had been losing clients and money. Worse, apparently my department hadn't recovered from my loss. Things came to a head at a quarterly meeting when the regional manager came to present the top sales awards, and apparently I had won it, even missing 2 months or so of sales. No one had told him I had been fired, so he looked like an idiot trying to present the award. There was a banner and everything. I also found out that Snake got fired for 2 separate offenses: stealing, which they were investigating, and having sex with one of the cashiers in the back, which led to his immediate termination. It had come out that Incompacito had caught Snake before doing something inappropriate and just gave him a vague write-up. That, the debacle with me, and the low sales got Incompacito fired. I received a call to see if I wanted to come back, but I had already taken on extra classes by then. The third story is, I'd be happy to get the chef for you. I'm a manager at a restaurant. We offer a variety of different menu items, much like an Applebee's, but we're better. One of my customers comes to me with an issue about a customer stating, "This guy at my table is peeved off because he thinks we served him raw salmon." I walk over with my server following behind, and before I can greet anyone at the table, Mr. Guy shouts, "This guy served me raw salmon. Are you people trying to kill me?" I politely ask the man to lower his voice and we can figure this out, whatever it takes. He isn't having it and is getting louder and is beginning to cause a scene, grabbing the attention of the other guests. I grab the salmon off the table to get it out of his face as my server brings a menu over. "Sir, why don't you take a look at the menu while I take this to the back? Pick out whatever you'd like and it's on me tonight," I explained, wishing I could smack him with this dead fish. I head to the kitchen with salmon in hand and we begin to dissect it to see if it really was raw or not. It was not even in close. In fact, it was a little overcooked. After myself and the other managers in the kitchen discussed the a-hole at table 45, my server lets me know that Mr. Guy is headed this way and he doesn't look happy. Before I continue, Mr. Guy is about 6'1" and built like a shaved bird, bald-headed with a wife beater on. He's standing outside the kitchen demanding every one of my employees that he speaks with me, and he's using profanities, which does not fly with me. I hastily grasp the situation and tell him that he needs to quit cursing or I'm throwing him out. This did not sit well with Mr. Guy. He gets in my face and shouts, "I'm not leaving until I have a chat with the guy who cooked my salmon." "Sir, I'd be happy to get the chef for you. Give me 1 moment." I hurry back into the kitchen and grab Tony, explain the situation, and we both walk back to the front of the house together. Tony's a 6'4", very large black man with a do-rag on and a toothpick hanging out of his mouth, sporting a Samuel L. Jackson bad MF look on his face. Mr. Guy's demeanor does a 180 in an instant. He looks at me and quietly says, "I'm sorry for cursing, we'll take the check." I printed out his check and he scurried back to his family, paid for his meal, tipped my server $15 and left. I never saw him again. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good day.